willpower. Now here's the thing, there's a massive myth that exists around willpower, which is that either you're born with it or you're not. Because we see these people around who seem really motivated and seem like they've really got their act together and they're so disciplined. And we assume that they're just like that. But it's not the full picture. It's not an accurate representation of how things really are. It's more accurate to think of willpower like a muscle or a battery. And it can be drained, but it can also be replenished. And here's the big thing, you can conserve it and you can choose to use it in the areas of your life where it matters most if you have a good grip on it, if you understand where it's leaking. And it's also important to know that anytime you draw on willpower or self-discipline in any way and in any part of your life, this is all coming from a single dedicated self-control zone in your brain. You don't have a separate allowance for different activities. And it's easy to fail to see this overlap. So to give a really simple example, if you've already used a lot of discipline in your day to resist eating unhealthy food or to make yourself exercise, and this is new to you, then you're likely to have a lot less left over for things such as solving problems and making difficult decisions when you're at work, or restraining your emotions and being kind and patient at home with your family, all things which come from the same zone of your brain. And we're about to go into more examples of this. So there's 4 ways that willpower is depleted. It's really helpful to know these. So impulse control, emotional restraint, mental discipline, and physical effort. Let's take a look at impulse control. Impulse control is all about resisting the temptation for immediate gratification. It's the act of stopping yourself. And I look at this in 2 ways. There's things that give you pleasure, a quick high, and there's things that help you to escape difficulty or things that are not pleasant. And you can think of them as numbing or avoiding. Some examples of the most difficult impulses to resist are eating unhealthy food, spending money, smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, and escaping into reading or watching something online or books or movies. Next up is emotional restraint. The way I look at this is when you have to stay civilized and calm, when you're actually feeling very strong emotions about something. You might be feeling threatened, angry, stressed, irritated, tired, sad, but you have to stand there and pretend that you're not feeling it or not let it out in some way. This is a huge strain on your willpower. Next up is mental discipline, a massive one. This is all about the time you spend using your brain to figure tricky things out. The biggest ones here are decision making, problem solving, and trying anything new or learning anything new. This is putting, again, a huge strain on this zone of your brain. All right, physical effort. These are things that require exertion in the physical sense that you're capable of, but that you need to mentally will yourself to do. Let's take a look at some examples. So exercise is the obvious one here. Also doing things like cooking. Cooking is not massive manual labor, but it can feel like it. Chores is another one, and putting effort into your grooming and appearance. So good to keep these ones in mind too. How do you know when your willpower is running low? The way that you can tell is when you feel everything more. You feel the urge to eat more bad food. You feel the urge to yell and scream and let your emotions out. You feel the urge to not be bothered to do anything that you know is good for you. You're going to feel all of these things at once, and you need to stay away from things that are going to really push you further. All right, so let's look at how to conserve it. So the first thing you're going to do, and we'll go through this in the journal, there's a little structure there to help you with this. The first thing we want to do is identify the drains. So we're going to look through those 4 criteria, and you're going to think through your life, your day-to-day normal existence, and pinpoint what are the things that you think typically eat into your reserves the most. And then think about some solutions. So consider what changes you could make to limit your exposure to scenarios in your life that are depleting your willpower reserves the most. This might mean delegating or calling on more help for certain roles and tasks which are particularly draining, either mentally, emotionally, or physically. It might also mean delaying other self-improvements you're trying to make right now, or it might mean restricting your access to temptations that you know you find hard to resist. These are the kinds of opportunities you want to be scanning for. Another tip is to do activities requiring your self-control early in the day. You've got high levels of willpower at the start of the day when you're rested. Choose the things that are going to get the best benefit from your topped up reserves. And visualize the day ahead. This is a really powerful tactic, not only visualizing your end goals and reminding yourself of your why, but you can visualize how you want your day to go. Think about the things that you want to take precedence. Remove the decision making about how your day is going to run. Do it the night before. Just run it through in your brain. A lot of people journal and plan this in advance so that when you wake up, you've got the most chance of getting into your day without having to make a lot of decisions and solve a lot of problems. And tackle one change at a time. I think if we try to make too many self-improvements or changes or take on too many goals at once, we're just going to have nothing left. Okay, so tackle one at a time. All right, so over to you. Open up the journal to the willpower page and run yourself through the little audit there and try to think of some solutions. Set your timer to 5 minutes and I'll see you back here soon.